Okay. Okay, let's get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Hendrik Wimmer. I'm department lead for tech at Findability at Otto. And I won't read that long title to you. I will rather introduce myself real quick. As a tech department lead, I started my career as a software developer, so I'm still software developer's mind. And now I'm not coding myself anymore. I'm responsible for creating the environment for techies and actually full product teams at Otto. And I'm responsible for the Findability department. And in today's talk, I would like to give you an idea what Findability at Otto means, how we create the environment, and what our idea about product responsibility and shaping product teams actually is. And if something sticks with you after this talk, then that should be the question, okay, am I as a developer, or we as a team, or we as an organization or as a company, are we getting all the rubber on the road? Are we so autonomous working on our product that we can get all the speed on the road that matches the people that are working on it? Or are we leaving a lot of traction behind by organizational stuff about setup, all these things that keep us from working? So, I mean, we're in Hamburg, but really quick, Paul, who knows Otto? Okay, let's invert it. Who doesn't know Otto? Yeah, we've got some people. Second question, whoever has purchased something on Otto.de? Okay, good customer base here in Hamburg, that's good. So if you purchase something on Otto.de, you definitely got in touch with the features that the Findability department actually provides. Quick word about Otto for those 3 people who raised their hands in the inverted question. Founded in 1949, we started as a catalog seller, and many of you might know the catalogs lying around at home. Some used it, some used to ignite fire with it, something like that. 60 years later, we grew to more than 6,000 people that are working for Otto, and we make quite some money with it, and everything is going online. So the catalog is no more, and everything is working through Otto.de or one of the group companies. And we have about 10 orders per second on our platform. With being a retailer, as it started on the catalog, we changed our business model in the past years towards becoming a marketplace. You might know that from other shops, where at Otto, we are not the only seller anymore. There are many other partners who are offering their goods via Otto.de. And still, we provide the platform for it, and we provide the marketplace for it. And that's a huge shift in the business model, which is actually using a lot of, or pushing a lot of change in the company as well, and it's also affecting the findability. So here are a couple of KPIs about findability. It's from 2020. It's grown with the growing marketplace. But to just give you an idea, per day we have more than 1.5 million search queries on our cluster each day, and quite a number of products, many different and diverse search terms. And on Otto.de, it's special. I mean, there are many companies who have a shop and a search system, but Otto.de is not just providing music instruments or fashion. We are providing everything, and that is a different level of challenge when it comes, for instance, for searching and providing the right user experience, because we need to kind of guess where the user is coming from and what he's looking for. So what is findability? It's not just search. Let me just point that out. This is a bad screenshot from our shop, Otto.de. And the core element, of course, is the search box. This morning, 10 o'clock in Cinema 7, there was the Auto Suggest team providing their talk, and the search term, the search bar here is their component, and the Auto Suggest feature that they have, for instance, is what they're providing here. But there's more to it. There's navigation. So it's not just these links here are dynamically provided, and they need to reflect the categories, and they need to provide a different entrance, but searching into our products and into our shop. There's refinement, further grained categories, and the way to help the users to specify the search that they started. And eventually, you need to present the results in an appropriate fashion and in a way the user expects it. And to give you an idea about the different levels in the search journey that we have as a challenge, let me just go into the user search journey. It starts with the need formulation. Express what you're looking for. And we need to help the user already there to have as few friction as possible to formulate what they need. We need to support the user there. When that is done, it goes into the selection, finding the right products for that search term. And ideally, it's ranked properly based on what the user is looking for. And of course, I mean, there's revenue components in there, but actually, you expect the right items to be in the top 5, top 3 even in the list. And that ranking can be quite tricky. You need to present it properly. You need to enable the user to refine your search, because most likely the first, I mean, ideally, yes, but usually the first search term, the first entry into the shop doesn't provide you already with the right list of products that you eventually are going to buy, so you need to refine it. You need to adapt the shoe size or the screen size or the color of your shirt, and that is refinement. And from time to time, due to spelling issues or because we don't have it in the shop, there's a dead end, which means no search results, 0 results. And ideally, you have already a suggestion for the user how to proceed in the journey, like different products that might match a similar search term. And all these things, we call it one search, but each of these boxes has at least one team in the findability department behind it that is just taking care of the headline of that single box. And there's more to it in findability. There are more jobs to be done. It starts from getting the people from the Google search onto Otto.de. When they're doing a good job, our SEO team is doing a good job, each search that you do on Google ends up on Otto.de. Each search. Navigation, search input, I already mentioned it, product list, filtering. And as we are approaching, or as we are building a marketplace on Otto.de, we, as Otto, mostly know if and why our products are findable, can be found in a user search. But our partners might not know. And the partners are responsible for their product data. And that might screw up the whole user experience when searching for goods. So we need to create a transparency and a recommendation system, how partners can curate and provide valuable information about the product so that they are findable as well. And overall, in findability, we are currently at 11 teams taking care of all these things. That's more than 100 people taking care of findability. And that's quite an investment. And I will tell you now what our idea behind creating those teams is, and why we afford so many people working on that, and why we think it's absolutely essential. Because we believe that as a team, you need to have full focus on what you're doing. And that focus needs to be inch wide, very, very small. A single problem, like the auto-suggest, or the solar cluster, or the refinement, the filtering problem. If we really dig deep into it, that's a problem in of itself, that the single team with fully staffed software developer, product people, scrum master, and we even believe in analysts and whatever you need to actually take full responsibility of your product. We equip the whole team, and we call that cross-functional. Cross-functional is not just front-end and back-end, it's everything. So that there is no dependency outside of the team, that the team needs to actually provide their product technically and drive it onwards. Drive it onwards, make an evolution out of it. So the auto-suggest, for instance, they started with a simple regex, and they are applying machine learning techniques, trying to identify where the user is coming from, entity recognition. The journey is not just stopping when we start showing some auto-suggest. It's just the beginning. And that applies to each and every topic there. And what we believe is that the teams must not have any dependency outside of their group to think about their product and decide about their product. Full autonomy on a technical, technical perspective, operational. So they build it, they run it. You know, that's a used term, but it's actually quite true. There's nobody outside the team who would help them run their product. They need to provide all the deployments, all the alertings, all these things, and they want it. Because there's nobody deciding for them. They have the full autonomy, the full freedom, and they take it and they use it to actually get the traction that we want them to achieve. Because our primary metric, and I am a leader there, and I'm there for the strategy, for the long-term strategy that we build together with the teams. But what is my measuring whether the teams are performing or not? It's speed. And speed, in this case, means speed of insights. How fast are the teams getting more valuable insights about their product? We call that experiments. Experiments is like an A/B test, or you can, like if the team is setting up their environment, they can run multiple experiments for different features at the same time and figure out whether it's working or not. They have the analysts inside the team that when there comes an idea for a new feature, the analysts are involved from the very beginning, starting to figure out, okay, which KPIs do we need to measure, how do we need to measure it, and they are preparing the whole evaluation process, whether a new feature, a new approach is actually making sense and reaching the customer in the intended way. That is starting from the very beginning. And if the team decides it works, they bring it live. They maybe tell us, okay, hey, we have a successful feature and we're making more money with it, or we are increasing the user experience, but eventually it's their call. We ask from them, gain insights as quick as possible, and be data-driven in your decisions, and put yourself ambitious but realistic goals. That's it. And we are in constant exchange with the teams. They're giving us their ideas, their goals, and then we let them run. In a 3-month iteration, we let them go, and they are free to decide in how they do it, in what they want to do first, second, third, and how they evaluate it. And this freedom, this empowerment of completely being responsible, but also in charge of the whole product, gives the people a certain satisfaction and a feeling of impact and self-efficacy. This is something that that I always wanted as a software developer. I was never having this situation where I was working in a team And we as a team were deciding everything. There was always someone outside the team, like a product manager or someone doing the thinking about the next feature, and then the development team had to implement it. But being in a group, in a team, together with the product manager inside that team and nowhere else, no other team is having any say in what we're doing, and the product manager was not like half in this team and half in that team. Full commitment to that product, full commitment to that team from each person that is inside that team. I've never seen that, and I always wanted that. And as a lead at Otto, I was given the opportunity to actually make that happen and drive it even further. And it gives us actually, I think we're on the right way. We are measuring that with the number of experiments. And this is the number of experiments from 2020 to 21, just for the Findability department. And when we started to lift off with that, our what we call the Onyx team, like there's a group of people who are executing all the different experiments for all AutoDE teams, and they were considering to actually buy a new framework to support the growing amount of Onyxes of experiments at AutoDE, because we were going through the roof there. So the setup of the teams that I just described is, for each and every team, quite huge. And I've been asked, okay, why are you actually investing so much? Why do you have more than 100? Actually, we went beyond 120 people in our Findability department already. And these are... And this is quite outdated because we already split some of these boxes. These are the different topics in Findability that we are tackling at the moment. And each of these boxes is one team, and we call it, like, you know that term, two pizza-sized team. I mean, it always depends on how large the pizza is. But we believe that, like, number of something between 5 and 10 developers, plus product management, people, processes, agile, analysts, is a fully staffed team. So that makes, I mean, 15 people is already quite large. But let's go at the 10 to 12 people mark, multiplied by these boxes, there you are, right? It's necessary. If you believe that this product responsibility and that narrow focus needs to be split up between the different teams, then you need that investment. And we went that way, and we are on the right track, and we are getting only shoulder paddings when displaying that. So nobody really questions that, because we're quite successful with that. And success is not only the number of experiments, as I showed. For me, it's also seeing the people working inside the teams, and we are doing health radars at AutoDE, like work health radars and team health metrics and stuff like that. And Findability, especially Findability in that setup, has the best rankings in all the health metric evaluations that we have. I mean, there's everybody seems to be worn out by the pandemic and the remote work conditions, but that is across Otto, so we're not special in that. We cannot avoid that as well. But everything else, like, do you have the feeling that you make an impact? Do you have the choice on what you're working on? Do you have the control over how much you work and stuff like that? We're getting highest ranks with that, because we're leaving the teams decide in which pace they are working on their products, and they're actually getting faster and not slower. And when creating that, and this is a recommended read from my side, everybody, independent of which role, should read this book, because from my perspective, it is describing pretty good in which way teams, depending on what their product is or what their purpose is, should be set up. So it describes this product team that is relevant for a certain customer feature as so-called stream-aligned teams, but not every team is going into having a direct impact on the customer. From time to time, there is a platform team that is providing an underlying layer of technology that the other vertical teams can use, or you have something like a complicated subsystem team where, for instance, if there's a certain technology like a solar cluster, where you can, where this team doesn't have a real direct customer impact, but it's necessary to have it. And what this book definitely emphasizes is Conways Law. Who has heard of Conways Law? Conways Law, in a nutshell, it says that if you're working in a company and the company has a certain architecture of their software, of their system, that architecture is a reflection of the structures of the different departments, of the sales or whatever department inside this company. And we encourage our teams when making changes to the architecture, and right now we are in a big architecture change when it comes to findability. We encourage our teams to actually not let themselves be constrained by the structures around them. If there is a question, okay, which team should take that responsibility? And there's always a debate, yeah, you should take it, no, you should take it, and it's going back and forth. We say maybe it's a different team. Maybe none of these teams that are currently discussing this should do it, but we need a new team, or we need to merge things, right? Don't be constrained by the structures that you have. And if there's anyone here who's not working as a developer or inside such a team in their department, but maybe on a leadership level, on a management level, that even applies even further. Where we hit the ceiling right now, where we get real problems with can we do it or not at Otto, is when we reach the level where certain managers created their own kingdom and don't want to give away responsibility. And we are constantly working on breaking those structural changes as well. So Conway's Law does not apply for us. I need to remind our teams each and every day, don't fall into the trap of sticking to the structures of the company. Think in the product, think in the customer value, think in what responsibility you as a team should have, and then create the architecture around that. And if the architecture doesn't fit the structure, we change the structure, not the architecture. So in a nutshell, teams are fully staffed at Otto to fulfill the full product responsibility. There's no one outside the team who's helping them when it breaks, and there's no one outside the team telling them what the next feature or the next experiment should be. I would never do that as a manager, because if they break it, they're getting up in the middle of the night, and they're willingly doing that. I wouldn't do that. We need clear goals and a narrow focus. So small focus on the product responsibility, and then clear goals as an outcome. Like in 12 months, for instance, where should your product be within the next 12 to 18 months? And of course, teams need to be able to do that, right? Cross-functional setup, they need to go full stack. Actually, if you come in as a front-end developer, the team will make you work full stack. Do the deployments, do the infrastructure stuff, do the backend stuff. Front-end is your expertise, but the rest needs to be done as well, and everybody goes into each topic. Agile, of course, that's a no-brainer, but OKRs as the metric, as the goal system behind that, formulating goals as outcomes, which is actually the biggest struggle that we have always when we talk to the teams. We need to get away from, okay, we want to achieve 100 tickets in the next 2 months. No, you need to describe the outcome of what you want to achieve, and that is your goal. We will measure you whether you achieved that or not. And as we're speaking about findability, you might see search. Everybody's searching several times a day, multiple times a day. So you might regard that as a convenience feature already. But searching is actually not a solved problem, and you will always be upset if the search doesn't work. And we know at Otto, when you search something at Otto.de, your experience is not yet that great, but we're working on it. And maybe you'll be a bit patient with us. It's really tricky from time to time. And that's it. Thanks a lot.